he's been trying to make her go down a darker path for Lily. So that shocked me, man. That was unbelievable. We then got almost in a handicap match versus the Hurt Business of Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. It would end up being a 1-on-2 handicap and almost would destroy them. It's led to a lot of great memes. If you get a chance, go look them up there. These memes that are coming out from this match are fucking hilarious. And then we got a contract signing between Becky Lynch and Lita for the Raw Women's Elimination Chamber match. This contract signing actually did not end up going to fists. It was a little disrespectful, a little bit of words, but nothing too major. It does have me excited for their match at Elimination Chamber. We then got a gauntlet match for the number one contendership. Who will be the last person to enter the Elimination Chamber? Rhea Ripley was on a roll, defeating Nikki Ash, Liv Morgan, and Doudrop, and then got defeated by Bianca Belair. So Bianca Belair will enter the Women's Elimination Chamber last. We then got a 24/7 championship segment where Reggie wants to take their relationship with Dana Brooke to the next level. Dana Brooke said they're better off being friends. Reggie then rolled up Dana Brooke to become the new 24/7 champion. It was an okay segment at best. We then got the Raw Tag Team Champions, the Alpha Academy, versus the Mysterios in a very good contested match. I like the Mysterios as a tag team. The Miz would then attack Dominic and Rey Mysterio after the match to set up a match at Elimination Chamber between The Miz and Rey Mysterio. I was hoping they'd save this match for WrestleMania, and maybe that's what's going to happen. Maybe this match doesn't get a right finish, and The Miz ends up having to face Rey at WrestleMania, which I would love to see. We then got Alexa Bliss's final therapy segment where Alexa Bliss is deemed cured, and as long as she has Lily by her side, she will be cured. So it looks like the therapist, again, he was not looking to cure her. He was looking to send her down a way darker path. I'll give Alexa Bliss credit, man. She said, wait and see what happens with these segments, and I ended up enjoying them. Alexa Bliss then announced she is the 6th participant in the Elimination Chamber. And finally, in your main event for the evening, Seth Rollins had a match with Randy Orton. This was a great match. Seth Rollins and Randy Orton have had amazing chemistry going back to their match at WrestleMania 31, where we hit the greatest RKO maybe of all time, where Seth Rollins was going for a stomp. Orton set him up as he sends Rollins flying, catches him in an RKO out of midair, hits it perfectly. 1, 2, 3. That was at WrestleMania 31. Tonight, Seth Rollins gets over on Randy Orton after a distraction from the Alpha Academy. Seth Rollins picks up some much-needed momentum headed into the Elimination Chamber. And that was your Raw for this week, ladies and gentlemen. This was a very good go-home Raw. It got me excited for Elimination Chamber. It got me ready to go for Elimination Chamber, man. I enjoyed this. And now, let's move on to your classic pay-per-view review of the Elimination Chamber 2018. This pay-per-view kicked off in Paradise, Nevada at the T-Mobile Arena, basically Las Vegas, with an attendance of 15,000 in attendance. Kicked off on the pre-show with Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson versus the Miz Taraj in a tag team match. It was an okay match, nothing great. You know, nice little kickoff show match. Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson pick up the win. And to kick off your main show, we had the first ever Women's Elimination Chamber match. Alexa Bliss, Sasha, defending her championship against Sasha Banks, Bayley, Mickie James, Sonya Deville, and Mandy Rose. This is when Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville were still Absolution before they became Fire Desire. Great match. You know, you had everyone really out for themselves except for Absolution. Absolution would really take the pin. Mandy Rose would be the first one eliminated, then Sonya Deville. And then you had everyone breaking apart. Mickie James would be eliminated by Bayley. And it would come down to Alexa Bliss, Bayley, and Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks and Bayley would climb up the pod to get to Alexa Bliss, and Sasha Banks would turn on Bayley, throwing her off the pod. It would kind of lead to a sort of split up of the Boston Hug connection, but they would be back together before WrestleMania 35 to win the tag team championships. Bayley would be eliminated by Alexa Bliss. Now, Sasha Banks would be eliminated by Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss would retain her championship to go into WrestleMania 34 to face Nia Jax. We then got a tag team match for the Raw Tag Team Championships. Cesaro and Sheamus versus Titus Worldwide. This is where Apollo Crews and Titus O'Neil were champion. Dana Brooke was their bookkeeper, I would say. She was their statistician. That's what she was. Cesaro and Sheamus were on a hell of a run, and they would retain their titles in this very good match. Very fun. I really did enjoy it. After this, we got a singles match between Asuka and Nia Jax. Asuka was able to continue her undefeated streak and picked up the win. Had Jax won, she would have been added to the Chosen Women's Championship match at WrestleMania 34. But that didn't matter. Jax would have a Raw Women's Championship at WrestleMania 34 versus Alexa Bliss. We then got the Matt Hardy-Bray Wyatt feud going into full steam. This is when Matt Hardy had gotten to his Woken gimmick, a.k.a. Broken, which he wasn't allowed to say due to a lawsuit with TNA at the time. He is now allowed to say it. Matt Hardy has turned Woken in a feud with Bray Wyatt. This would not be the end of their feud by any means. They would have the ultimate deletion match at the night before, the Raw before WrestleMania, which should have been saved for WrestleMania in my opinion, but that's neither here nor there. Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt would have a great match, and Matt Hardy would pick up the win. It's funny to watch this match now knowing that Matt Hardy really needed surgery, because you could tell he was walking so gingerly, the way he was moving in the match. He really needed time off to get surgery. And then finally, your main event of the evening, the Elimination Chamber. The biggest Elimination Chamber ever. The Miz, Elias, John Cena, Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, Braun Strowman, and Roman Reigns, ladies and gentlemen. This would be a fun Elimination Chamber. Watch it. If you have time, go back and watch it. It would actually start off with 3 men, while every usual Elimination Chamber starts off with 2. I really enjoyed this match. It was a fun one. You knew John Cena wasn't going to win because he was going into a feud with The Undertaker at WrestleMania 34. You had no clue what Seth Rollins was going to do in this match because you didn't know what was going on with Dean Ambrose at the time. Dean Ambrose was supposed to be in a feud with Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, but he was injured. There was talk he might come back. No one knew what was going to happen. It was a fun little match. Roman Reigns would end up picking up the win after a long, hard-fought match, which basically ended up being him and Braun Strowman. Roman Reigns would become the new number 1 contender for the Universal Championship at WrestleMania, which he would go on to have a horrible match with Brock Lesnar in the main event, which makes me wonder why they're doing this again. Maybe it's to avenge this horrible main event. But as far as the pay-per-view goes, a very fun pay-per-view. I enjoyed it. I would give it a B. Straight B. And now, ladies and gentlemen, been going hard this week, so it is time for your Elimination Chamber predictions, coming to you from Saudi Arabia, Jeddah Superdome in Saudi Arabia. I am looking forward to this pay-per-view. It actually looks like it's going to be a fun pay-per-view. 8 matches. This is going to be a long one. So let's go into the predictions as read from the card that have been announced so far. Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, Austin Theory, Riddle, and AJ Styles. I don't see Brock Lesnar winning this. I think it's going to be Bobby Lashley. At least I hope. I don't want a title-for-title match at WrestleMania. But that's just my opinion. I think Bobby Lashley wins and will probably go on to a feud with someone else. Maybe Seth Rollins. I would like to see that Seth Rollins versus Bobby Lashley, because apparently there's another feud happening for WrestleMania of Kevin Owens versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's the talk. If that happens, I'm losing my mind. I am so excited for WrestleMania if that happens. So I would go with either Bobby Lashley or Seth Rollins winning this, and they have a feud going into WrestleMania. After this, we got Becky Lynch versus Lita. I see no way that Becky Lynch doesn't win this. Becky Lynch retains, goes into WrestleMania, probably to lose to Bianca Belair, Liv Morgan. Then the Usos versus the Viking Raiders. The Usos are going to retain. They're probably going to lose their titles at WrestleMania as well. So I don't see anyone but the Usos walking out champions. After this, Roman Reigns versus Goldberg. This will probably be the main event. I see Roman Reigns beating Goldberg very easily. It's going to suck, but Roman Reigns wins. Then we got Drew McIntyre versus Madcap Moss. For the first time, I'm actually excited for a Madcap Moss match. I see Madcap Moss actually winning this match because Happy Corbin interferes, and then it's going to lead to Happy Corbin and Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. Rey Mysterio versus The Miz. I think The Miz wins on a DQ, and at least with no DQ match at WrestleMania. Then Ronda Rousey and Naomi versus Charlotte Flair and Sonya Deville in a women's tag team match. By the way, shout out to WWE. They've really gone as far as they can. They actually bring women into Saudi Arabia. I mean, hell, did you ever think this was possible? Bravo, WWE. Bravo. This is a good one by you. Ronda Rousey and Naomi win this match to get momentum going into WrestleMania, which will probably be the blow-off for Naomi and Sonya Deville at WrestleMania. And we'll get Ronda Rousey defeating Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. And then, finally, your women's Elimination Chamber match. Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Doudrop, Nikki Ash, and Alexa Bliss. As much as my heart wants to say Liv Morgan, because I really feel she deserves a WrestleMania moment against Becky Lynch, I'm going with Bianca Belair. Maybe Liv Morgan gets added to the match later on. But Bianca Belair wins the Women's Elimination Chamber and goes on to face Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. But Liv Morgan is my second pick. And that is your Elimination Chamber predictions for 2020 in Saudi Arabia, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a fun one. I'm going to be watching all pay-per-view. I'm excited for that pay-per-view. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for your WWE Drink of the Week, the Blue Margarita. I'm just going random now, ladies and gentlemen, until WrestleMania. We're going to go with random drinks that just sound delicious. So I chose a margarita, 1 ounce tequila, 1 ounce blue curacao, 3 ounces of lemonade, you get a small beer bottle, and you're going to rim the edge of the glass with lime juice, and you're going to put salt on the edge. You're going to take a blender. You're going to put the tequila, the lemonade, the blue curacao, and ice. And you're going to blend until smooth. Pour into the rim glass. Insert the small beer bottle so it's not pouring out, but it is in the drink. And garnish with a strawberry and enjoy. This is a very good drink. I recommend it highly. I've had it multiple times. Very fun drink. And now we're reading from the Book of Rules. Superstars will enter the Elimination Chamber, one by one, an undisclosed amount of time. A reading from the Book of Rules. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for everyone's favorite segment, the Battle Troll of the Week. This is a very easy one for me, ladies and gentlemen. The Battle Troll of the Week is AEW. How the fuck do you let Cody Rhodes go? How do you let this all come? I mean, if Cody Rhodes does go to WWE, I honestly see most of the elite following him. I see Kenny Omega following him. I see Hangman Adam Page following him. I don't know about the Young Bucks, but I see a lot of people following him to WWE, ladies and gentlemen. I see probably